you need to ask questions a different way. So ask different questions and start by asking questions that don't include ahs and ums, because that's something that's almost impossible to do when your questions aren't prepared prior to the sales call. Yes, you need to prepare your questions prior to the sales call. Write them out. Rehearse them. Rehearse them into a mirror or through a video of some sort, but rehearse them. And once they're rehearsed, then you can use them in front of a prospect. And a clear indication of what you're asking isn't a very good question is when you ask a question and the customer responds with, "What do you mean?" You see, the whole concept of asking fabulous open-ended questions is what good selling is all about. And the better the question, the better the response will be. Don't forget that. The better your question, the better the prospect's or client's response will be every time. Now, one of my pet hates in the selling process is all of these salespeople that will go into a call totally unprepared for that call. But to their defense, some will say, well, I prepare most of my calls. It's the ones that I haven't got time to prepare that I don't prepare. Huh? Well, then make time. Simple. You know, the most important thing is most professional salespeople do their preparation away from the office in their own time. Some will work till 10, 11 at night, but they'll make sure that they're prepared for the next day's calls. And the telltale signs are when you're unprepared is that you'll start to use ums and ahs during your presentation because you're not sure what to say and it won't flow smoothly off your tongue. Now, the other thing you'll also do is you'll adopt that thinking pose too often. As if you're thinking about the things that they've just said. Well, do it more than twice in a presentation of any sort, and guess what will happen? They will lose interest in you because they'll see exactly what you're doing. The other thing is, a lot of people will ask dumb or stupid questions. And the minute you do that, you then further get the prospect offside. And the worst thing is, so many people begin to assume, either during the presentation, during the actual preamble, during the close, whenever they begin to assume, it's the dumbest thing you can do. Now, remember that mnemonic. To assume is to make an ass out of you and me. And that's exactly what you do. You know, the minute you start to assume, and so many people say, you have to assume that you made the sale before you walk into the presentation. Dumb, dumb, dumb. Because when you start to assume and you're unprepared, you'll simply start to talk bullshit. I'm making no apologies for saying that, but you'll simply start to talk bullshit. And when you talk bullshit, you're going to be found out very quickly. So if you have a product or service that is a fit or a solution for their challenges, then you've got a win-win situation. Now, I want to add one more thing here. Notice I said a solution for their challenges, because what's important is please don't do like so many other salespeople do. Do not use the word problem. The word problem can be something which is unattainable. A problem is too hard to get over. But if you use the word challenges, everybody's up to a challenge and everybody is happy to rise to meet that challenge and to beat that challenge. Now, here's something that I consider as bad as being unprepared, and that's being underprepared. That's right, underprepared. In other words, you've prepared some of what you should do, but you haven't finished the preparation. You've done some of the questions, but you haven't done enough questions, and you haven't worked out the rebuttals to the questions. That to me is totally being underprepared. And when that happens, the first thing that'll happen, if you get asked a question that you're not sure of, you'll start to become mentally confused, and that'll come across because you'll then start to use ums and ahs to try and cover yourself. But remember, the prospect can see what you're doing. The prospect is opposite you in that sales call. Now, the other thing is you'll know what to do, but in most cases, you won't quite understand how to do it in that call. You may have rehearsed part of it for another call, but in that call, you're totally like fish out of water. Now, lots of times, again, you'll bring up that pose that you're thinking about something because you'll literally stop to think about what you should do next. And again, if you do it more than twice in a call, there's going to be a red flag that'll go up to the prospect. And when the flag goes up, the prospect goes into doubt. And you've got to remember that doubters are not buyers. And the other thing is you'll start to stumble. And once you start to stumble over things, you'll start to stumble over more things. And again, you'll bring in more doubt. Now, the worst thing that can happen, and it happens quite often, because you're underprepared quite often, you'll feel that if you make it up as you go, that'll be your salvation. But that in turn is the dumbest thing you can do, because if you make it up as you go and tell them what they want to hear or what you think they want to hear, they'll soon pick up on you and you won't even get a return call with that person, no matter what you do and no matter what you try. So don't ever go in and unprepared or underprepared in any one of the calls that you make, because you'll pay the price. Now, I want to give you some more questioning hints, because after the first question, you need to ask a follow-up question. That's right, ask a follow-up question based on their answer. Now, you can do this over and over again, and the benefit is, if you do it skillfully, they'll volunteer a lot of information simply by you asking appropriate questions. Now, here's something really important in every presentation, because you need to adapt your questions to suit the conversation. So don't do as a lot of other salespeople do. Don't ever ask questions that lead to answers to suit your agenda. No, don't do that. It's something that shouldn't be done, because you should be asking questions to help the prospect with their agenda. So if you have a product or service that is a fit or a solution for their challenges, then you've got a win-win situation. Now, it's important to ask questions which are not directly related to your presentation before you give the presentation. And those questions shouldn't be related to their response before they give their response. That is assumption, and that is something that'll always destroy the presentation. So be flexible in what you say, what you do, how you say it, and how you do it, and never be scripted. Because the more scripted you are, the less flexible you are. And it's okay to get personal within the presentation at any particular time. You can ask about their hobbies. Talk to them about family issues that you have that may be similar to some of the things that they brought up. Because the more you do it this way, the more you look like a normal person. And people don't like to be sold. They like to buy from people they like. This is also very important, and something that salespeople should never do. And yet I still hear it happening. I hear of it happening, and I get disappointed every time I hear it happening. Never follow up your questions with your answers. If you don't understand what I've said, don't give them the answer that you want to hear. The secret to asking good questions is to listen, and to listen intently. And when you do that, they'll answer you honestly, because they'll warm to you in the way that you ask those questions.